But Merlin reassured the drooping courage of his men, and they at length got up to the enemy, and without mercy put every one of them to the sword, and Danish bones are still to be seen here. However, probably the fullest and most authentic account of the battle was that written in 1832 by Alexander White, the parochial schoolmaster of Gamrie, who remarked that the greatest object of antiquity in the parish is the old church, which universally received tradition relates as having been built at the time of the landing of the Danes in 1004. Alexander White goes on to say, "It is not alone by the natural beauties of the place that this scenery becomes a field strangely adapted for the fancy to sport in. These green hillocks, grotesque knolls, rugged rocks and deep gullies, these vales that have rested for centuries in peace, were once the scene of a deadly conflict, for it was here that our far-off ancestors had to stem the torrent of invading Danes, and this brook, now meandering peacefully over the smooth pebbles, once flowed deep red with the blood of the slain. That green conical mound that tops the east bank of the Den is the Castle Hill of Findon. It was garrisoned with a part of the Scottish army stationed here to watch the landing of the Danes, a party of whom effected a lodgment on the opposite bank, in the place where the old church now stands. The alarm was immediately given and communicated by means of fires on the mounds, several of these mounds which still remain on the highest peaks of this and the neighbouring parishes till this day. They communicated the intelligence rapidly throughout the kingdom and quickly brought up reinforcements. Still the Scottish chief, the Thane of Buchan, considered the issue of an attack rather dubious, and in order to add the enthusiasm of religion to that of patriotism amongst his followers, he made a solemn vow to St. John in the presence of his whole army to build a church to St. John on the spot where the invaders were encamped, on condition that the saint would lend his assistance to dislodging them. The superstitious soldiers, thinking this was too good an offer for any saint to reject, made themselves sure of St. John's cooperation and entered with eagerness into the plans of their leader, who being now sufficiently reinforced, sent a detachment round by the head of the Den, and these, fetching a compass by the southwest, succeeded in gaining possession of the top of the hill directly over the Danish main camp, and, by rolling down large stones upon the invaders, obliged them to abandon it and make their escape by the northeast brow of the hill, which overhangs the sea, where many of them were killed, whence the place obtained the name of Gamrie, which means the running battle. After being dislodged from the east, the Danes formed a new camp, where the entrenchments are still to be seen, which still preserved their communication with the sea and also with an extensive barren plain on the top of the hill. Meanwhile the whole Scottish army, in fulfilment of their leader's vows, set to work to build the church on the spot where the Danes had first settled, while both parties were waiting additional reinforcements. The Danes, having been joined by a party of their countrymen who had landed at the old haven of Cullen, almost 4 miles westward, made a successful attack on the Scots, and drove them back across the Den to the Castle Hill, and to spite St. John for assisting their enemies, the Danes polluted his sanctuary by making it a stable for their horses. By this time, however, the alarm had spread far and wide, and the Scots, pouring in from all quarters, not only forced back the Danes to their old position on the brow of the hill, but getting possession of the whole heights and enclosing them on all sides except that overhanging the sea, they again commenced their murderous work of rolling down stones, while the helpless Danes could neither oppose nor escape, and then rushing down upon them, sword in hand, the Scots cut them to pieces to a man. The Bleedy Pits or the Bleedy Pots is still the name of the place, which being incapable of cultivation from its steepness and exposure to the north blasts remains to this day in status quo. Besides the round, the crescent, and variously angled figures in the ground, the graves of the Danes are yet to be seen, sunk and hollow among the rank brown heather, green at the bottom, and surrounded at the borders with harebells and whortleberries, with fragments of rock and large detached stones lying around and covered with moss. 3 of the sacrilegious chiefs were discovered amongst the slain, by whose orders the church had been polluted. I have seen their skulls grinning horrid and hollow in the wall where they have been fixed, inside the church directly east of the pulpit, and where they have remained in their prison house for 800 years. After the church became a neglected ruin, that is around 1825, these relics of antiquity were pilfered bit by some of the numerous visitors to the place, and nothing of them now remains, except the holes in the wall in which they were embedded. One skull was subsequently recovered and placed for greater security in the Museum of Banff, where it is still to be seen. Alexander White added that the foregoing account of the place and its tradition is believed by the inhabitants to be substantially correct. In some of the most vivid lines ever written of any part of the county of Banff, memories of the battle are recalled in verses by the late Sir William D. Geddes, a principal of Aberdeen University, written when he was parish schoolmaster of Gamrie. They appeared originally in the Banffshire Journal of August the 26th, 1856. First the churchyard is spoken about. Half up the ribs of a bold giant hill that washes his feet in the sea, and looks like a king o'er the watery world. Lo, a patch of greenery. Westward and northward the crags rise high, to shield it from injury, and there looking down in the beautiful bay is the old churchyard of Gamrie. Oh, well I do love the sweet, sweet slope, where it sleepeth so solemnly. The author goes on to speak in language of inspiration of an old church, the pride of the place, the pride of the North Country, remarking that it was old and grey with years when Elgin and Roslin were young. It had numbered full many an age when Father Dante sung, ere Conrad of Hochstaden built his noble heart in stone, ere Bernard the Crusader made the Muslim Empire groan, or the Norman Duke with his battle brand strode in blood on the Sussex strand. Your moss-mantled church in peacefulness rose, a shining light to our northern land. Then the battle is described in language equally eloquent and moving. Over brine, over fame, through flood, through flame, the ravenous hordes of the Norsemen came to ravage our fatherland. Over rock, over rill, over dale, over hill, on the wings of the wind flew our sires to fill every perch in the bold headland. Like a thunderstorm they fell on their foes, hewing around them with death-dealing blows. The war, I ween, had a speedy close, and the bloody pits to this day can tell how the ravens were gutted with gore, and the church was garnished with trophies fell. Jesu Maria, shield us well. 3 grim skulls of 3 Norse kings, grinning a grin of despair, each looking down from his stony cell. He stared with a stony stare.